Hi, welcome to my first build video for one of our retro gaming systems. This one is going to be this Barcade that I made. Barcade is just a shorter tabletop arcade machine as opposed to one that stands on the floor. What you decide to build is kind of based on what you've got for space. This one was for my son who's got a townhouse and doesn't have a lot of space, so this was an ideal format for him. As I had said in our teaser video, a lot of what I do is prototyping with cardboard. Cardboard is great because you can go over to Costco and get 4x4 sheets of cardboard for free. They like you taking their cardboard away because it's less garbage for them to have to throw away. So you go in between all the different canned vegetables and boxed cereal and stuff, and there's cardboard and there are varying thicknesses. All depending on what you need. So when you go ahead and go to lay all this out, you've got a design of some type. Now, I spent a lot of time on the design. I looked at everybody's different designs. I ended up modifying this one because this one was going to be a little bit different because this was going to be built around an existing laptop that I had. So in order to do that, I needed the laptop to be able to slide into where the screen would go and have the keyboard go into an area that wouldn't hit any of the bottom of the buttons and that the joystick wouldn't hit. So in designing that, you can see the layout here. This happens to be Lightburn. I generally start all my designs in CorelDRAW, and then I bring it over to Lightburn for the laser cutter. And this is the laser cutter. So we are very fortunate to have in this area a makerspace called Makersmiths out in Leesburg, Virginia, that has a 51-inch wide laser cutter. I can stick, as you can see, a 4x4 sheet of cardboard in there with room to spare. The advantage of that is, you can see on the laser right there, I made a boo-boo and I started off in the wrong place, so you can see that I've kind of cut over the edge of that. Working with cardboard is great because it's free, and if you screw up, you just cut another one out and try it again. Going through the initial construction process, you're just kind of putting it together, you're taping it together, hot glue it together, whatever you decide to use, however sturdily you want to put it together, and make sure that things fit right. And I did find a few things that didn't fit right. I was missing a tab here or there. I was missing a hole for the power cord to go through, or the power cord and the inside holes didn't line up. In that first iteration of the cardboard model, I was able to try out a bunch of the things. The other part of that, as you can see here on the game panel, the control panel, there are a lot of button layouts you can use, a lot of them. And people are very, very picky about the button layouts they use. And you're going to be very picky about the button layouts you use. And maybe that's going to depend on the games that you're going to play. Are you going to be playing mainly 4-button games or 2-button games? Are you going to be playing 6 or 8-button games like some of the fighting games, Street Fighter and all that? So that button layout is something you can always test out as well, and that's very handy. Once I got into the part where we were constructing the hardware, or the wooden part of it, you can see the pieces going together here now. Like I said, the idea on this one was to have the laptop screen slide right into that gap there between the black panel and the brown panel behind it. Very, very small distance apart. The bigger, what is that, like 3/4 by 3/4 wood back there is really just for structural stability for the case. That just keeps it together well, and those are screwed in. You can see in the back there's ports for the power and for the video to come in and out. I don't know if it'll show in these, but in the front I left ports for USB ports coming out the front in case you need to plug in a keyboard, or you wanted to plug in a thumb drive to load more games up, or whatever it happened to be. Maybe you had a wired USB controller. In this next picture, you'll see the laptop going in between there, and again, you can see that's It's just sliding in between those two panels there, and slides right in. The top part of it was all those holes were for a speaker set to go up there. There's a couple different ways you could do the speakers. If you're doing a regular PC, you can use kind of regular speakers. In my case, what I was trying to accomplish is I wanted you to be able to plug in headphones in the front and also be able to have speakers. In order to do that, I had to use a particular USB speaker, which I'll put down in the links below. And that USB speaker is not just a USB speaker to the internal sound card. It's an actual second sound card. The reason for that is if you plug a headphone into the jack of the computer, it will cut off the speakers. Well, if you're running that port out to the front of the machine, then it's always going to be plugged in, which means your speakers are always going to be disabled. So you need a second sound card that can be selected from inside the software. And so you can select whether it's going out the speakers or going out the headphone jack. You can also see the back panel there was white. I happen to have some white and black colored MDF around, and it was just nice to make it white in the back. I didn't have to do anything with color or anything like that, so I did white on the back of that. In the assembly part, again, I did do some black sections, and here you can see on the side had not only the black but also a cutout section. And what I did with that was kind of interesting. I put a couple of magnets in there. I'm going to put 3 magnets in there. 3 magnets on the piece that I cut out of there, and then I could color that piece, that inset, and then you could put it in and take it out and change the colors of it or do whatever you wanted to as needed. The other nice part about it is if it became necessary, it also gives you access to the screws that hold those cross braces together. Honestly, I don't think that'll ever happen. I don't think you're ever going to take that thing apart, but that's the other part of this. So once that got all together, then we started doing the graphics. I had found that panel there, the control panel, which is actually from the game Centipede. But all I found out there were really horrible pixel images, bitmap images of the control panel. So that is all hand redrawn in CorelDRAW. Everything is now uniform, where the original was not actually. If you got to think about when that was done, somebody probably did all that by hand and drew all the lines in there. Well, they weren't exactly even, and I'm an engineer, so all those lines are even, they're parallel, they're lined up, they're centered, everything is perfect on that. But I redrew that whole panel on there. The title bar over top of that, if anybody is familiar, that is the font from Flynn's Arcade in Tron. And again, I hand drew a font for all of those letters matching up to the Flynn's Arcade font. And obviously there were letters that I had to create that were not in the word Flynn's, and create that. And I have not finished creating my entire font set for that yet, but I probably will do that at some point in time. You can see also I've got the light up buttons. I should have mentioned it in a previous slide. You can kind of roll back, but the buttons are all attached in there. These are just a simple set from Amazon. I want to say they were like $45, $50 for the entire set of red and blue joystick buttons, start and select buttons, and all that. And that actually came with 8 buttons each. If you look on the side, there is a red and blue button on the side. There's also a red and blue button on the other side, because I wanted you to be able to play pinball with it as well. And that will go down a whole nother road when you start watching my virtual pinball series. But this particular one here, I put the buttons on the side just in case pinball became an option. And you can see the inset colored side panels that I put on there. And that's pretty much finished. It's running Batocera Linux. We will go into that in a separate one, because really that's consistent across the 3 machines that I built. So once I show you the other 3, we'll show you then about the the Batocera Linux that's the back end of it. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. I tried to make this quick and simple. If people want more detail, please mention in the comments. I'm happy to go into more detail on these things. I apologize for not taking videos at the time I built it. I guess I'll have to build another one. We'll see you again on that one. Bye-bye.